Hello, I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today I have decided that I am ready for fall. Although, as I'm sure this bug bite on my forehead is indicative of, it does not yet feel like fall. So I am taking the opportunity of this month's Buzzwordathon challenges to get me into the fall spirit. Even though it is like 80 degrees today and much too warm to be wearing this sweater, I am embracing my inner fall, okay? Because I have waited as long as I possibly could to let myself get into the fall spirit. And I've decided, while fall doesn't technically start for another few days on the 22nd, and as I'm filming this, it's the 17th, too bad. I am getting ready for fall starting today. And Buzzwordathon this month is actually really enabling me to do that, because if you're unfamiliar, Buzzwordathon is a monthly reading challenge hosted by Books and Lala here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. And each month there is typically a title prompt, but because this year is an anniversary of Buzzwordathon, there's also a cover prompt. So all year I have been reading and doing a reading vlog for Buzzwordathon, and this month the title prompt is an event word in the title and the cover prompt is foliage. And I feel like these two just give me the perfect opportunity to really read some fall books and just really help myself get into the fall spirit. So in this vlog I'm going to be reading some fall books and decorating for fall and eating some fall themed foods and desserts to really just bring the fall spirit around, even if the weather is not cooperating. So I actually do already know what I'm going to be reading in this video, and I have already started the first book. First, for the cover prompt, which you cannot tell because I have an arc, this is Ladies in Hating by Alexandra Vasti. I'll put the actual cover here on the screen. You can see that there is some foliage. And when I started reading this, I didn't know that it was actually going to be set in fall. The vibe was just giving gothic, because the plot of this is that there are these two rival gothic writers, and they have a lot of overlap in their writing to the point where they start to think that the other is copying them, and they have a past together which just amplifies their rivalry. But then they both decide, I'm gonna get ahead of the other and I'm gonna write at this supposedly haunted, infamous house that no one has had access to, but now I have access to it so the other can't. And then lo and behold, they both show up there and obviously now have to try and work together and just put their differences aside. But it's also a sapphic romance, and it's actually set during the fall, which I did not know. But they're talking a lot about the autumnal crisp breeze in the air and just the cold crisp autumn rain, and I'm this is really doing it for me. Because they're gothic writers, we have a lot of the gothic setting, and they're going to this haunted mansion, and so this is really, I'm having such a great time with it, and it really is fitting for this vlog, even though I didn't think it would as much going into it, because the cover is very pink and red and green, so I just wasn't sure that it was actually going to fit. But it is an arc, so I do need to get to it, and it did have the gothic inclinations, but I'm really glad to say that it is fitting this vibe very well, and I am really enjoying it so far. But we'll talk more about that later, because the other book I'm going to be reading in this vlog is Halloween Party by Agatha Christie, and I am so excited for this. I have only read one other book from Agatha Christie, and it was a classic, And Then There Are None, and the ending got spoiled for me by one of my teachers, so I didn't have as much of a fun time with it as I feel I could have, because the ending was spoiled. But I remember really enjoying that and having a great time with it, and I watched a lot of movies and shows that are inspired by Agatha Christie's writing, so I'm really excited for this. And there is nothing more fall or Halloween than this book, because this takes place at a Halloween party, and I just feel that's so perfect, because it follows this teenage girl who is at this Halloween party, and she is talking to some of the adults there, and they are talking about this murder, and she's like, I've witnessed a murder, and they kind of blow her off sure, you're just trying to seek attention. And then come to find out, they find her dead body having been drowned in the Bobbing for Apples tank, and then they have to investigate the murder, as I'm sure more murders occur. But it's set at this Halloween party, so in the fall, and I feel it's just gonna do it perfectly. Agatha Christie knows how to set the vibe, and so I feel this is just going to be perfect. Reading a murder mystery in the fall to get into the fall spirit, always a good choice. And Agatha Christie that's called Halloween Party, I think that I'm all in, especially because an event word is the title prompt for this month, and party is in the title, and also Halloween is an event, so doubling down on the prompt for that month. But I'm very excited to read that, especially because it's quite short, and my library actually had a ebook type thing that's a dramatization, so it's full cast and sound effects, and it's only an hour long, so I feel it's just gonna really be very immersive. I'm gonna read the whole book first and then go to that, but I'm very excited for that. And on top of all of that, I will be finally decorating for fall. I have quite a few little trinkets and garlands and things to put on my shelves and just around my room, and I'm very excited to finally get into it, because I've been putting it off for a while because it just has not felt like fall. And I realized that if I keep waiting for it to feel like fall, the season's gonna pass me by, just because global warming, it's just not getting as cold as early as it typically does. And we had 1 week where it was 60s, low 70s all week, and now we're back into the high 70s, 80s. So I'm like getting sweaty standing here in this sweater, but like I don't care. I don't care. I'm putting myself in the fall spirit. And I hope that you'll stick around with me through this little vlog as I help myself get into the fall spirit. So I imagine a movie will be watched, maybe. I have the butternut squash mac and cheese from Trader Joe's to try. I have some soups to eat. Like, I am really putting myself in the fall spirit, whether the weather is willing to cooperate or not. And I hope that you will stick with me through this vlog. But for now, I am just going to continue reading Ladies in Hating and hopefully continue to keep enjoying it. And hopefully the like fall autumnal eerie creepy vibes will just ramp up from here. Hello, I am back in another fall outfit that it is still too warm to wear. I had the dog out this morning and we were doing a little walk. He doesn't go very far. Nonetheless, we were outside and I heard a leaf skittering down the road and I was like, oh, I can feel it. There's like one tree that's leaves are starting to fall, so I can crunch on them, even though it is still like 80 degrees and we have the air conditioning on inside because it is still too warm. And it's like, I'm trying to be patient because I know fall starts when like the season starts to change, not when the fall decor gets put out in stores. So it's like, I'm having some patience, but at the same time, I'm done being hot and sweaty, right? Like I love my sweaters. I have such a vast sweater collection. It's like the majority of my wardrobe. And every day I get dressed and I'm like, I could be wearing a sweater. So I am today. And yesterday, even though it is still too warm, and I just turned the air conditioning down a little to make it work, and I probably will end up getting too hot as I'm going to be decorating today. But before we get there, I do have some updates on Ladies in Hating. So I'm about like 63% through, and I am absolutely loving this. I'm having such a fun time with it. And while it's not necessarily set in the fall, like it starts like late autumn into winter pretty much because we end up in December and it's like snowing on them. So it's not super fall, but it has like the gothic haunted house vibes that are still very much giving fall and autumn. So I'm really enjoying that. But as for the plot of this book, like I said, it follows two rival authors. And at first they don't know who the other is. They just keep reading the other's books and being like, there are so many similarities between my book and hers. What could, like, are we stealing each other's ideas? What's going on? And so our one author, Georgiana, decides that she is going to find out who Lady Darling, her rival author, is. And both of their books are housed in this library, and the name of the series, because it is in a series, is Belvoir's Library. And it's a series of interconnected standalone, so I have not gone back and read the other two. I'm just picking it up here. And so she, like, stages like stakeout at the library, and she ends up encountering Lady Darling, who is none other than Catriona Lacey, who she grew up with in her father's house. And because she was her father's butler's daughter, so they kind of grew up together until her father kicked the butler and the whole family out of the house. And when Georgiana came out as this author, her father kind of was like, you're out on your own. And so she resents her father in a lot of ways. And so there's a lot of like, I don't want to say resentment, but like built up passion, let's say, between these two women already before they even realize who the other is. So there's a lot of history between them, and it does a really great job of like dealing with that. And both of them are hesitant to get into relationships because of a lot of different reasons. Georgiana, because every time she gets close to someone, her father, who had a lot of power, steps in and like ruins their life. So she's hesitant to get close to people because she doesn't want to end up hurting them. And then Kat, because she is a lesbian, but she knows that a lot of people in like 19th century England aren't as accepting of that. So she's had a lot of like one night stands that she wants to be more, but she wakes up in the morning and like she can just see the shame on those women's faces. And so she's hesitant to do that again because she doesn't want to hurt herself or put the other woman in that position. So these two authors end up going to this Renwick Manor, which is like this giant crumbling house that like no one's been allowed into forever. And they both end up there. They both think they're the only one going there and that they're gonna have like this fresh new story that the other can't copy. And lo and behold, they both end up there. So they're like, fine, we'll make it work. And obviously they do more than make it work. They do kiss. Wonderful, beautiful, and like they have such great conversations about like why they're so hesitant to enter into this relationship, and it's beautiful. But then a shocking discovery is made at this manor, which sends them on this kind of like mystery solving side quest on top of writing their books and falling for each other. I'm just having such a great time, and I feel like it's really a very good like entryway into fall read, because like I said, it's not set in the fall, but it has like the gothic haunted house murder mystery vibes that are really perfect for like a transition, I feel like, especially because it's again not set in the fall and it's set like in the winter. It's giving me, I'm thinking cold, you know? So I'm really having a very good time with this, but I am going to put this down to pick up Halloween Party while I decorate, because I have that as an audiobook and I just think that'll be so much fun. So these are my shelves currently. I'll step away so you can get a good look. Looking very bare. I mean, like, not bare in the slightest. I have a lot of little trinkets on them, and my shelves are really the only place in my room that I have to decorate, because my whole room is covered in trinkets, and my trinkets are not seasonal. Like, they stay out all year round, and so I don't really have space to put up a whole lot of other decor. So I have a few things that I'm going to add to my shelves. I have like a little leaf garland that I've been wanting forever and finally got one this year to kind of spruce things up. I have like little ceramic pumpkins that my grandma makes that I can put on the shelves, but it's a lot of smaller things that I'm hoping are going to cohesively make a nice scene on my bookshelves. But I would also love to make like little like witch hats for all of my little critters, because I just think that would be so cutie, but I do not have the time, patience, or materials to do that today or anytime this week. So stay tuned for future videos to see if I end up actually getting around to that. But I think I'm going to start by adding some little trinkets to the shelves and just playing around with like the layout of everything. I might take some of this stuff off just because there is kind of a lot, and if I'm adding more, it's only going to get more, you know? But first and foremost, I'm going to put on my headphones, listen to my audiobook, and just start decorating. A lot of work to get up there in a way that I did not anticipate, because my shelves are two different heights, as I'm sure you've noticed, and so getting it to look even was kind of hard. Oh my god, that is adorable. So I ended up just taping it up in the middle, but because the leaves are felt, the tape didn't really want to stick to it, so I might end up having to get a different kind of tape if that falls. But I think that looks so cutie. It looks like the leaves are like blowing past. Adorable. So my only set of like seasonal trinkets are these Halloween calico critters, because of course they are. So there's this one that's a little black cat with like a little ghost costume. Then there's another cat, oh my god, another cat that has this like plastic glow in the dark ghost costume that it just like slides up in there, all cutie. And then there are these three that have, I don't want to say simpler costumes, but we have this little like green Frankenstein bear, and then a little pumpkin elephant, and like a little witch bunny. So I don't know where I'm gonna put these yet, but I want them to be like where you can definitely see them. And when I stand here, you're not seeing anything, honestly. But I think I'm gonna put them in the middle here, or honestly, maybe if I stand here, I think I'm gonna put them on this top shelf, actually. I really just wanted to tell you about my calico critters. So far, the book, the narrator is British. I was not expecting that. I feel like I should have with Agatha Christie, but I genuinely was not. We've already gotten our girl Joyce, who's like the main instigator of this novel, because, okay, backing up a few steps. There's like this group of like older ladies that are throwing like a Halloween party specifically for teens, which, how fun. It's really giving like definitely like setting up for fall, which is so fitting for what I'm doing, but really enjoying like the atmosphere it's giving. But then our one character, Joyce, they were talking about how they want their murder mystery novels to have like more blood and guts and gore, and they were like, oh, okay. And she was like, I've seen a murder, and they were like, don't say things like that, Joyce. And she's like, okay. So, and they were also talking about the bobbing for apples bucket and like which one is going to be sturdiest. We know Joyce is getting it, so we'll just continue listening and see. This is only like a 6-hour audiobook, so it won't take me very long to get through, but I'm just gonna keep decorating. I really just want to tell you about the struggle I had and then my little critters. So let's just get back to it. I have been sitting here reading. I have the audiobook like you saw, and then I also have it on my Kindle to follow along. And while I was sitting here doing all this, the leaves did fall in the middle, so I am gonna have to get different tape to fix that. However, I'm like 50% through this book already, which it's very short. It's a very easy read. I'm not particularly enjoying it. Like, I'm not having a bad time. I'm not gonna DNF it because like I want to know, who did it. But I feel like this is a Hercule Poirot mystery, and I just feel like those translate better to like screens, because I've seen quite a few movies that are based on Agatha Christie movies, especially like the Knives Out and like the Glass Onion, and I'm pretty sure that's Hercule Poirot. I'm 90% sure. And I just feel like the way he talks and the way he goes about like solving the mysteries is better on screen to like see facial expressions and like see him working through things, because reading it, it's just like he's just like going through every single possibility, and it's like, yes, I get it, I do. I just am not sure that this like crime mystery is really for me, especially because the first chapter and a half-ish was like them setting up this Halloween party, and then it was just like, and by the end of the party she was dead, and now it's him like backtracking to all the people who were at the party and like talking to them. And so all of like the fall Halloween, any of it gone, all of it, because now like we're not really explaining the setting or anything. It's just, I'm talking to this person, here's all the possibilities, talking to this person, here's all the possibilities. And so I'm just not really like in the story. Like, it's happening, but I'm not feeling connected to it at all. But I do want to know who the murderer is. So I'm going to keep reading, keep listening. But yeah, it's really not doing much for me, which is why I'm glad that I have like the dramatization 1-hour version on audio. So I'll listen to that when I'm done and see if that kind of helps at all. But like, it's fine. I'm having a fine time. It's doing what it set out to do. This is like the 41st Hercule Poirot mystery. That's so many. So it's like clearly like Agatha Christie like has his voice down. I just don't know that I love his voice. you know, I'm just not really enjoying him as the main character here. And also, like I said, all of like the fall Halloween aspects of it are gone. Like they're not in the story anymore. Like, I imagine it's still set during the fall, but like because we're not getting a description of any of the setting, none of that is happening. So I feel like you really have to like the aspect of him just like interviewing all these people and thinking, well, what about this? What do you think about this? And like doing all of like the interrogations pretty much. Unless like if you don't like that, you're probably not gonna like this, or I would assume any of the other books in this series. I'm not sure. But like I said, I think it's fine. I'm going to continue because I do want to know who did it, but don't pick this up thinking that you're getting like a full Halloween party is the book. No, the Halloween party was just like the setting for the murder. So I'm a little disappointed in that, honestly. Luckily, I am still really loving Ladies in Hating, so gonna continue both of these. Hope that by the end of this, we circle back to some of that fall. I mean, like the cover and the title and the synopsis really are giving more fall Halloween than the actual book is. So I don't know, we'll see. But now I got myself the butternut squash mac and cheese from Trader Joe's that I have been seeing so all over the place for so long and have always wanted to try it. And a Trader Joe's just opened in an area near me, so I have that to try and I'm very excited. I love a little mac and cheese. However, I'm kind of picky with mac and cheese, so we'll see if I end up enjoying it. But I also have like a kind of knockoff version that like you have to like make on the stove from Aldi, so if I end up liking this, there's a high chance I'll like that one. This one, the one from Trader Joe's, is just like butternut squash, and then the one that I got from Aldi is like pumpkin and butternut squash. So I think it'll be delicious. It sounds very creamy. The noodles are like big. I'll show you once I have it made and I'm sitting down to taste test. But I always get like embarrassed eating on camera because it's like while I'm chewing, I'm not going to talk while I chew. So then it's just like you watching me chew my food, and like that feels weird. So I'm gonna go get lunch and I will give you a review of my mac and cheese. Okay, I've eaten my lunch. I've changed because I'm gonna be chopping some veggies for stew that I'm gonna make tomorrow. But my review of the mac and cheese is that it was fine. I'm not really sure what the big deal is because like it really just tasted like mac and cheese with like a little bit of like extra something. But like I wouldn't say that that extra something was like super exciting. I don't know, like it was nice and creamy. I would say especially for like frozen microwavable mac and cheese, it was good. And I feel like if I found myself at Trader Joe's again, I'd pick up another box, but I wouldn't like go out of my way to get it because again, it was fine. Like I've never had butternut squash before, so I don't really know how to explain it, but it kind of had like a fruitiness almost. Like it wasn't bad, I enjoyed it, but like I don't know that I'd seek it out again. I'll eat the Aldi one that I have because I'm sure it'll be just as good. But yeah, as far as frozen microwavable mac and cheeses go, it was good. As far as all of the excitement I've seen online for it, I don't understand because I thought it was truly just okay. So now that we've established that, I'm going to put my audiobook back on and I'm going to chop up all these veggies so that tomorrow I can make stew and not have to do all of the prep work in the morning. have finished chopping my vegetables, and I have finished Halloween Party, which this cover is crazy because I'm not reading A Haunting in Venice, I'm reading Halloween Party. Also, the skull, why is its nose so pointy? Anyway, I finished it. I didn't like it. It feels very in line with like the Knives Out movies, although I think that those really work better in movie form because it's like the whole book was just Hercule Poirot going around to all the different people in this village and like asking them like what they know and like interviewing them, and then at the very end things started to happen and then he like put it all together for everyone. So it was like, as a reader, it was just not the most interesting thing to read. I wonder if my enjoyment would have been different if I had read it like physically the whole time, so that I might have been more invested. But as it was, I did not care. Like, more people died than just Joyce at the beginning. And I was like, I barely know who these people are because we talked to every single person in this village. So there's just so many people. And I just feel like it didn't work super well as a novel. Like, it wasn't bad by any means. It was done well. I just feel like for me, it didn't really work. And it also had no Halloween themes whatsoever. Like, the original murder takes place at a Halloween party, and then there's nothing. Like, there's no descriptions of the environment to then even like give a hint that we're still in fall. There's nothing. It's all just conversations between Hercule Poirot and the people in the village, and then like his inner monologue. There was nothing outside of those conversations, so it was just really hard for me to like get into the story. And so I just, again, it was fine. I don't want to say I'm glad to have read it because it's like I don't care. It's gonna be 2 stars for me just because, yeah, there was really nothing happening there. I think that if you are like an avid reader of Agatha Christie and you read all the Hercule Poirot novels, then this is probably just like a standard addition to the series. Again, it's number 41 in that series. So if you've read all of them or even some of them, I'd like to know your thoughts, because it might be different if I like had more of a connection to the character, then maybe it would be different. But because I don't, it was fine and I didn't particularly enjoy it. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna listen to the dramatized retelling version because I wanted like a fall Halloween type thing going on, and that is not at all what I got, which really sucks because I picked this book particularly for what I thought was going to be a Halloween party as the main setting, and that was just not the case. And like, I get that it wasn't supposed to be like a locked room thriller. That's not what she set out to write, but I think that would have worked so much more for me and would have been more what I was looking for, because I wanted the majority of the novel to take place at this Halloween party or like around the themes of Halloween, and that just wasn't really the case. And so I was just left disappointed. So I am going to move back to reading Ladies in Hating and have a much better time with that one, even though that one is also not really super fall themed, but decorating for fall and making my stew tomorrow in the crock pot, have it simmering all day, I think that'll help some. It would also be nice if it wasn't still 80 degrees, but you know, I'll take what I can get. So this vlog is kind of a flop, honestly. Like, it is not feeling like fall in the slightest, but I'm gonna go back to reading Ladies in Hating and hope that I continue to enjoy that, which I feel like I will, because where we're at in the story, really liking it. This was just like, I was gonna say a fun little interlude, but it really wasn't that fun. So yeah, I feel like I could have DNF'd it because even finishing it, like, it's something that I read, but it's not going to stick with me. And that is a bit disappointing, but Ladies in Hating is not disappointing, so I'm going to go back to that. I am back in my favorite sweater because despite it still being quite warm outside, it is starting to feel like fall inside. I have the air conditioning on, which I have to because it's, again, still hot outside, but there's like a little chill in the air. Artificial, but still. I have my stew going in the crock pot. I've just finished my book. I have my fall decor up. Like, it feels right, finally. So this vlog and the things I did within it have achieved the goal that I set out to achieve. So that's at least exciting, even though our last book was a flop and our butternut squash mac and cheese was really not worth the hype in my opinion. I did have a book that I really enjoyed. Ladies in Hating was so good. I loved it so much. It's 4 stars for me. I had so much fun with this because it's like a very lighthearted yet emotional, cozy read. Like, very low stakes, because it's like, yes, there's a mystery, and yes, a man does die, but like, it still feels like lighthearted and cozy, and I never felt like these characters were in peril. And we also didn't have like a 3rd act breakup, because there was one scene where like there was like an issue, but like the very next day it was dealt with and the 2 characters like talked it out, and like explained why they were doing the things that they were doing, and like it made sense for them, and it was just so beautiful. And then there was an author's note where, because this is set in like 19th century Regency era England, the author was talking about how a lot of these characters and the things that happen and like the settings, like Renwick Manor, that the house that they go to, it's all based on like actual historical figures and just kind of all put together to make this story. And it was just so heartfelt and so beautiful. And like, if you really enjoy found family stories, I think you'd really enjoy this. And it is the third in the Belvoir's Library trilogy. And at this point, I'm kind of considering going back to read the first two just because I loved this so much. Like, it was so fun and cozy and emotional but lighthearted, and kind of like everything that I want in this type of novel. It did it perfectly, and I cannot wait for this to come out. I'm gonna have like a glowing review to write because I really enjoyed this and I would highly recommend picking it up. The author's note about all of the different historical figures that this pulled from made it like 10 times better. Like, it just really left with like such like a positive note, and I really enjoyed it. There was also an epilogue, so if you're an epilogue girly, this one's really gonna do it for you, because it was like 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, 8 weeks later. So we see them like progressing through all of the things that have to come together at the end of the novel, and it was just so heartwarming and so wonderful. And it ends like in the summer, so not really a fall novel at all, but like it worked so perfectly and had such like a cozy vibe and atmosphere. I just loved it so much. It was so cozy and fun and emotional, and everyone loved each other, and it was just so wonderful. But I really enjoyed this. 4 stars, had a great time. It's not 5 stars just because this is not the type of novel that I like absolutely love, and I feel like now that I finished it, like I'm not gonna continue thinking about it, you know. It's like a very contained story, and like while I love like the historical implications of it, I just don't think that it's something that's really gonna stick with me, other than like, oh, remember how much fun I had with that, you know. But I did have a really great time. I would highly recommend this. Had a very great time reading this. Really enjoyed like the mystery aspect, loved the way that was handled. Everything about this was just super fun and lighthearted but emotional. I really need to figure out how I'm gonna keep that up. I've tried glue dots, that didn't work. I'm gonna have to get like duct tape or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But anyway, really love this. Not loving that so much. Do need to figure that out. Now that I've finished this vlog could technically end here, but I think for lunch today, because I have my stew going, but obviously I can't eat that just yet. It's a crock pot meal. So I think I'm going to make that other mac and cheese that I got from Aldi, just because that was like really good. Like, I just really like having like a nice creamy hearty meal, especially because that's just what I want. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I think I will give you a review of that as well, because I would like to compare the two. They are different, but I would still like to compare. So I'm going to actually bring you along for that and see if I can get some duct tape or something to keep this up, because if glue dots aren't working, I don't know what is going to work. So we'll see on that. But yeah, I had such a great time with this. I don't know what I'm gonna read from here because I don't really have anything planned, but this, a sleigh, Halloween party, a flop. But I'm just happy that I enjoyed this one so much, especially because it's an arc and now I get to leave such a positive review. Very exciting. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get that mac and cheese started. And I know I just said that there was a chill in the air and it felt like fall. I'm getting hot in this sweater, so I'll probably end up changing into a t-shirt. But anyway, let's go make that mac and cheese. Review of my Aldi Autumn Harvest mac and cheese. I think that it was better than the Trader Joe's one in some ways and worse in others. You did have to cook it on the stove and it needed butter and milk, so if you're doing it like on the go, I can see why you'd pick the Trader Joe's one. I also prefer the noodle shape of the Trader Joe's one. I just like those big like rigatoni type noodles for a mac and cheese. It's just so fun. Now for the actual taste, I'm gonna have to give it to Aldi just because I feel like it was more cohesive with the cheese of the mac and cheese. I wonder if that's also because the Aldi one has pumpkin and butternut squash, where the Trader Joe's one is just butternut squash. And it definitely showed in color, like I didn't get any videos of it, but the Aldi one was more of like an orangey, almost red color, where the Trader Joe's one was more of like a light orange, yellowy color. And the taste, I'm gonna give it to Aldi. I did really prefer the taste. Like I said, I feel like it meshes with the cheese more. However, where I didn't like it as much is that it had like little pieces of like squash almost, which added like a textural element. The leaves just fell again. That added a textural element that I didn't like as much, because it just kind of like, I don't like a crunch in my mac and cheese, and that's what it added, so I didn't love that. But was really good. And my stew is still bubbling away, and I feel like stew is just something that is so comforting, and it's just like so warm and hearty and really just gives like fall and winter. So I know when I eat that tonight, it's gonna put me in the right mindset. I'm gonna have that with cornbread, which is like the perfect fall meal. And so while the books that I read for this vlog might not have been as fall themed as I would have liked, at least the foods are. So, you know, we gotta take our wins where we can get them. But that does bring me to the end of this vlog. I decorated for fall, I ate some fall foods, had a great time, wore my sweaters even though it's definitely still too warm for that, but I had a good time and that's all that matters. And I'm ready, I'm like in the fall spirit now, which is what the whole goal of this video was. So I would say we were successful. Now I want to give you final thoughts on my books. Halloween Party, don't read it. Like unless you're like set a goal for yourself to read all of Agatha Christie's books or read all of the Hercule Poirot novels, then sure, go for it. But if you're looking for a like Halloween themed murder mystery, not what I would pick up because it barely takes place in Halloween. Now, Ladies in Hiding, on the other hand, absolutely loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. Again, not really something I'd pick up specifically for fall, but definitely pick it up. Super fun, really enjoyed it. Very cutesy romance. It also had like a lot of heart to it and really enjoyed. Those are the two things I read for this vlog and for Buzzwordathon this month. That's all I have to share with you today. So I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in another video again soon. Bye!